breaking news, something I didn't know in this introduction. Chris Jans is nicknamed the Dentist. The Dentist, which brings up sound effects like zzz, zzz, and open, right? But it's a representation of his team's toughness and defense, making their opponents feel uncomfortable, just like a trip to the dentist. His identity as a coach reflects his blue-collar roots. In fact, as I was reading this, Chris and I share a childhood experience. He was one of 5 children growing up in a trailer park in Fairbank, Iowa. I'm one of 2, but my first 5 years we moved from mobile home to mobile home. It just sounds better, doesn't it, when you say mobile home? Fairbank, Iowa is a small town in northeast Iowa with a population of about 1,000 people and no stoplights. He played Division III basketball at Loras College, small town, in his home state of Iowa. He was a 3-year starter, team captain as a senior, and set 3-point shooting records. Chris's coaching journey includes having spent more than a decade coaching at the small college level, including 6 seasons as a junior college head coach. Within those 6 seasons, some were spent at Kirkwood Community College in his home state of Iowa, where his team won the 1998 NJCAA Division II National Championship. And as an assistant coach at Illinois State, he was on the staff of now Oklahoma head coach Porter Moser. In 9 seasons as a Division I head coach, Chris's teams have had 6 NCAA tournament appearances, including the last 3 at Mississippi State. One of those, if you remember, an SEC connection, a tough loss. A 2019 first-round game with Auburn was one of the best games of that tournament, a 1-point Auburn victory. Chris and his wife Sherry have 2 adult children. Sherry and I have talked about marathoning, which is part of her journey. Both of their children live in Kansas City, and notably, Chris achieved a hole-in-one this summer at Old Waverly. I have achieved holes in 7 and 8 at Old Waverly, but never a hole-in-one. So welcome to the stage, Chris Jans.
Thank you, Greg. Yeah, the hole-in-one was the highlight of the off-season for sure. It was my second one in my life. It's been about 15 years since I had my first one, and the great thing about holes-in-one, if you've been around it or experienced it, when you have them early in the round, it was hole number 3. You get to celebrate it, all day long. And fortunately for me, it was a hot day, and I think there was one other group on the golf course, so it didn't cost me much at the end of the day that way. But as always, excited to be here. 4th year standing up on the podium. I was talking to Garth Glissman, waiting to be introduced, and I remember when I first got here, my wife and kids and anyone else real close to me was glued into the SEC network to watch this presentation or this talk, if you will. And now I guarantee you that they're not watching today. They're doing their thing. It's old hat for them now. We're grizzled veterans of this league, if you will. Other than my mother, she was texting me all morning asking me what time I was going on, if it was Central Time, Eastern Time, etc. But in terms of our team, like all the other coaches are probably talking about, we got a lot of new. We've got 15 players. It's the smallest roster I've ever had as a head coach at any level. It's new territory for me that way. I've been accustomed to having a lot of bodies in practice, so it's caused us to change how we organize our practices and then certainly run our practices. We have 4 guys that were in uniform last year, 1 starter and 2 in the rotation, so that means we have 11 new players. Of those 11, 4 of them were high school players, and 6 of them were transfers, and then we have an international player as well. So still trying to find our identity, to be honest with you. I remember a few weeks ago struggling internally about, who our team is going to be, how we're practicing, et cetera. And I got to believe now, looking back, talking to other coaches, that it's a similar feeling that's going on across the country. Is you're just not quite there yet. Your personality hasn't quite formed yet as a basketball team because you just haven't had the necessary time and reps and adversity that you're comfortable with having so many other players back from years past. So we're excited about the season, and we'll certainly take any questions.
Thank you, Coach. If you have a question, Catherine or Karsten have a microphone. We'll get one to you. Raise your hand, and we'll start up here, Coach, here in the second row, right in front.
Hey, Coach. Neil Blackman, Saturday Down South. I know that a lot of times with the coaches that have JUCO backgrounds like yourself are a little more used to sort of frenetic roster building, but like, do you have thoughts on sort of now when the portal starts? Seems like there could be some issues. Some coaches might have complaints about the fact that the portal opens before the season's even over, and that's sort of your window.
Yeah, I adhere to, why you complain. Nobody pays attention to it anyway. But it's certainly been a hot topic for years now since the portal has become a part of our landscape. And for me personally, I've been championing the weekend after the Sweet 16. I think that's the perfect time for it to open, where there's only 4 teams that are left playing, and boo-hoo to those 4. They're playing in a Final Four, and they've got to be able to get in the portal a little bit and still prepare for their team. But I'm sure they would all take the inconvenience. I believe when it started 2 years ago, before the NCAA tournament, that was a travesty in my opinion. And I get there's a lot of talking points that comes with it, but I can't imagine a better sweet spot than the Monday after the Sweet 16 weekend, where even for the coaches and the staffs and their families, when you lose the last game of the year, which all but one of us do that are in the NCAA tournament, you don't get to take a breath at all. You don't even get to internalize what happened. It's very emotional because you don't have a choice. You better jump in the portal, both feet, both hands, every part of your body to be able to do what you got to do, because it's very time sensitive. So I think it gives the players time to decide if they want to go in or not, and it gives the coaches time to re-recruit, if you will, some of the players that are on the fence. And I know there'll be people that will say, well, we need to know, right? And it's going to give time for coaches to get behind the scenes and do what they do. But let's be honest, that's going on anyway. I tell our coaches all the time that everybody's in the portal. That's got to be your mentality, regardless if they're actually physically, paperwork-wise, in the portal. So, again, that's my opinion on that.
Coach, we're going to go back right all the way to the back.
Garcia, 16 WAPT. There was a lot of uncertainty with Josh coming back to the program at the end of the season. He's finally back. What are you looking out of him to take that next step personally for him, and then helping you guys get over that hump?
Yeah, there may be some uncertainty on a national level. I didn't have any uncertainty with it just because, I'm with him daily. I've got to know his family very well and what kind of people they are and what they stand for. But I understand the narrative. When anyone that good, that young, there's going to be talk about it. And again, what I said earlier, I look at returnees as everybody's in the portal. And I think it speaks volumes to, who he is and what kind of person he is, and how strongly he believes in our program, in our community, and in our university. But I never get tired of talking about Josh. I had someone come into practice the other day that has been around a little bit yearly, and he asked me, is he really as good a kid as he seems to be, as he comes off to be? And I go, he's better. And a lot of coaches talk about, kids being better people than they are players, and it's a cliche, but that's Josh. That's his identity. That's who he is, and that's a heck of a statement, because he's a hell of a player, and to say that he's a better person just speaks kudos to the quality human being that he is.
Other questions, raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. Go over here, Coach, on our right-hand side.
Hey, Coach. Colin Dams from the Commercial Dispatch. In this day of college sports, continuity on rosters, especially in basketball, seems rare, but to have somebody like Josh who you can lean on with your new players as well, How important has he been in this offseason and integrating these new players?
He's been crucial. You know, he took a leadership role last year as a sophomore along with Cameron Matthews. He was definitely the little brother of the duo. He did it a little more silently than Cam did it, but he's got all the qualities that you would want if you were looking at it from a coach's perspective in terms of his ability. So he's got respect that way. You know, he's as hard a worker as we have in the program, which gives him a little more confidence and coach more confidence in allowing him to say things to his teammates. You know, I really don't like the kids who, you know, start trying to take over a leadership role and they're not doing the right thing every day. I mean, that's counterintuitive, and I just get frustrated when I see that happening. And with Josh, that's no worries at all. And he's stepped up a level in terms of his using his voice. You know, that was the thing I said last year is Josh needs to find his voice in our program internally, and he's done that and more. He doesn't just lead by example now. He uses his voice, and he's working harder than he ever has. He's practicing more consistently, especially on the defensive end, than he ever has. And I think once, you know, we start playing these games and people watch him play, you'll see that he's gotten even better. You know, he's continuing to strive to be a two-way player and improve his game, you know, all around. And we're seeing it develop in front of us every day.
Take one final question back on the back row to the right.
Jacob Bain, GeneSpace.com. Coach, you added a lot of size and length this past offseason. What have you seen from those guys in your front court so far during practice?
Well, people talked about the dentist that obviously I didn't coin myself. That had nothing to do with that name. But, you know, we were known for, you know, being a tough-nosed team and, you know, blue-collar. And last year, I wouldn't have described our team like that. You know, our analytics flipped a little bit. We had a very good offensive year historically for Mississippi State and for my teams. We were ranked in the top 25 efficiency-wise. We scored the second most points in the history of Mississippi State and had a lot of other highs historically for our program. But defensively, we took a couple steps back, and I knew we would. I just didn't want to take 2 steps back, and we took you know, more than we wanted. So we had that in mind when we jumped in the portal this year and tried to get, like you said, some length and some more defensive-minded guys. And you know, we'll see how it plays out, but that's definitely something that we're going to try to get back to.
Coach Jans, thank you for your time this morning.
Appreciate it.